Okay, well, when dealing with the problem of piracy, like I attempted to do in a video yesterday that went really, really wrong, the problem is there are many blurry lines. Like there's always like a middle ground, like a very big grey area where it's hard to tell really if you're doing right or wrong. I mean, I'll freely admit I do exist on a fair few points within these lines, and to me, they are perfectly fine, legitimate reasons. But I know to the letter of the law that they're not strictly legal. Now, this is probably going to get me into a lot of trouble if people don't watch further than that, but hopefully they will. I mean, let me just run down. So I have I have a multitude of consoles. Like I don't own that many anymore. I mean, I used to collect them, but I mean, I'm down to I've got about 7 or 8 or something like that. But my PS1, when it starts to work, that's been chipped. That wasn't done by me. That was just how it came when I picked it up on the car boot. My PS2, similar. When I bought it, it had a hard drive in it that came with a bit of software, so you could load your discs onto the hard drive. And my Xbox also has this feature that I did specifically get. Um, and on my DS, I do have an R4 card. I mean, I know there's better on the market, but this one does what I want fine. And I run custom firmware on the PSP. Now, taking that on face value, like easily see, like each of these, I know exactly how they can be abused. I know there's a lot of people who wouldn't be able to resist, like being doing the illegal stuff like copying games and so on and so forth with these. But reason, well, the reason I got these done, I mean, I'll break it down again. Like the PS1, like I'm glad it is chipped because there was a fair few games that at the time existed in America that didn't come out over here. I mean, Chrono Trigger on the DS is the first time since it came out. I mean, it was released on the Super Nintendo originally, and what the DS release was the first time it ever made it officially to like the PAL European region. And I was kind of impatient. I didn't want to play it on a crappy ROM, so I imported Final Fantasy Chronicles, and obviously using a straight out of the box brand new PS1. Unless I'd actually got an American one as well, like that wouldn't work. PS2 that I've got and my Xbox, like the Xbox, the disk drive is essentially dead. I mean, it works every now and again, but it's temperamental. Ideally, I should replace that, but I can get it to work. It's just it doesn't work every time. And I had it originally installed when I moved out of my parents' house and went to university. And obviously, I was moving from but by then it was a 4 bedroom house for just the three of us, so there was plenty of spare room. And I was moving to a tiny box room, and obviously there were space issues. So the ability to be able to not bring everything down with me, especially because I was worried about theft and stuff like that, ironically. Um, just being able to bring down my favourite games and load whatever else I wanted onto the hard drive, brilliant. And same with my PS2, it wasn't why I got it initially. It was purely a fact that I'm incredibly lazy thing. But that too, I mean, I got Guitar Hero 3 brand new. It's probably the last PS2 game that I bought, and brand new out of the box, no scratches, no nothing. And it kept telling me it wasn't a PS2 game for whatever reason. And yeah, so now I have the ability to load them onto that as well. And similar reasons for the DS. Like I've got, I don't know, 20 odd DS games, and sometimes I want to play like 5 minutes of do a quick bit of a case on Phoenix Wright or Apollo Justice, something like that. But then I'll get bored and be in the mood for some Mario, so I want to be able to quickly switch them between. And the only solution that I've seen to that, other than actually carrying around, like obviously all the games with you, I've seen a really hideous looking thing. I think it was Blaze that it was basically like a 3-in-1 cart thing. It came with switches, so you can switch cart 1, cart 2, cart 3, and it was absolutely hideous. And I think it was actually bigger than the DS itself, so it would have been huge and uncomfortable. No way I can fit the DS in my pocket with something like that attached. And again, it limits you to just 3 games. And finally, the PSP, it's got custom firmware on it. I mean, there is, and to an extent, the DS. There are great homebrew games out there, like things people have knocked up that are probably also Flash-based games that are free to play on the internet. But I prefer, I think nowadays, portable gaming, just being able to pick it up, play it for 5 minutes, put it down, save it, or just close it so it's sleeping, and come back to it later when I have a chance. That's partly why most of my gaming in the past couple of months has been on the iPod Touch, because it's brilliant for doing stuff like that. But yeah, the custom firmware, slightly different issue. I realise they're finally getting around they've slowly got around to releasing stuff like this, but it just enabled you to do a multitude of things that the official like software wouldn't allow you to do at the time. I mean, the PS1 conversions are slowly appearing on the PlayStation Store. I know in Japan they have a whole bunch out, but they're slowly getting like the last I heard was Metal Gear Solid 1 had been released on the PlayStation Store. But what happens if you've got like your own discs and you want like your old PS1 discs and you want to actually play them? I mean, this is one of those big grey areas that I was talking about. And just like I own, like I said, Chrono Trigger on the PS1, and I want to play it on my PSP because my PS1, being as old as it is now, again, it's very temperamental. I mean, I don't think the Xbox and the PS2 have lasted quite as well as the PS1 did, but like they're all dying essentially, and I still want to play it. I mean, I did buy it. I bought it brand new, and there was no way for me to do it using like official 100% legal methods. And yeah, it gets confusing sometimes, like what you can and can't do. But that was one of the main reasons that I got like the custom firmware. That and because it's well known, unless you get like one of the, well, even if you get like one of the stupid milliamp hour batteries rather than I think the default one this one came with is like 1200 milliamp hours, and the battery life is poor, is what I'm trying to get at. And obviously, well, the PSP Go is going to fix that because it doesn't have a UMD drive anymore. But obviously, having a working disk drive rather than a cart, which is what conventionally handheld systems have had, it does drain a lot of the battery. And stuff you can do with the custom firmware, it's brilliant because you can just, obviously this is where it's, people could be very tempted to abuse this, but I don't I don't even know anyone that does PSP rentals. But you have the ability uh, to burn the UMD disk onto the memory stick itself. So as long as you have the UMD still in, you can just play the entire game and it'll load a multitude of times quicker from the memory stick, and you'll extend the battery life by 1-2 hours at least, which is pretty much twice the amount of time you're able to use the system. Now, obviously, like these are big grey areas, and ideally, like the legislation and what have you, like it was obvious, like what we could and couldn't do, and having stupid things like this actually legal, but I'll continue in a minute and hopefully talk about ways to actually fix this.